John, to what extent do you think that Brexit will influence financial institutions in the United States?
Well, Bill, thanks for asking. I mean, as we continue to watch what's happened since the June referendum for the UK to vote to leave the EU, we've been thinking about what financial institutions should be looking at or have been looking at. The biggest implication we continue to look at is their ability to passport UK businesses into the rest of the EU. So that change, while obvious, has significant number of implications around contractual arrangements and how do organizations rethink the contractual arrangements they may have between their UK operations and Europe. It also has to do with treasury operations, ability to leverage talent, people with EU passports working within the UK, as well as some of the considerations they have around M&A activity, either M&A activity that was planned or maybe new thoughts around M&A. I know one of the big things, Bill, when I go around to talk to financial institutions is it's not limited to their UK operations. So organizations are also looking at their whole global footprint. This referendum in the next 2.5-year process for the UK to move away from the EU gives organizations a time to take pause and think about what are their footprint operations within Europe, what are their footprint operations within the UK, and how do they work together as a global enterprise.
Right. A lot of different potential scenarios here that could evolve around the way the market handles this, the way the political environment shakes out, et cetera, and then the way that contractual arrangements have to be rethought. If you're sitting there with all those moving parts, where do you get started? How do you get started if you're a company right now that's facing all that in the United States?
As we think about it, Bill, we are looking at what are people doing with their current passporting and contractual arrangements as the first thing. The second thing people are looking at is talent. How do they leverage the open trade, but the open movement of talent today? People are also looking at treasury operations. So what do you think is going to happen from a tariff or a tax perspective operating in the UK or thereabouts? And then also M&A. What does this mean from a merger and acquisition standpoint?
Right.
And when I talk to financial services institutions, asset managers are looking at this differently than insurance companies and banks, at least in my experience. Banks looking more at passporting of operations, clearing and settlement of securities. What does it mean there? Asset managers are looking at their product structures. So where are their products structured today and what allows them to passport through Europe or the UK? Do they need to think about new product structures? Asset managers are also looking at the investment implications of this. Who are going to be the winners and losers as we look at this change, and there are organizations that they ought to be a bit more speculative. The last is insurance companies, and really just trying to think about the legal domicile of insurance companies and how they manage their risk.